This research work focuses on the concept of a grand tour and its evaluation over the last centuries, to better understand the roots of what in modern times we define as cultural tourism. It's not by chance that one unmissable step of the grand tour, sometimes its final destination, has always been Italy, with its matchless wealth of nature, art, and history. A myth of Italy as the country of freedom, joy and beauty, which has inspired also several masterpieces of literature and cinema that all contribute to make the voyage to Italy the dream trip for millions of people. Since the Middle Ages, Italian roads have been traveled by pilgrims and subsequently by merchants, artists, preachers and eminent scholars, but also by brigands and adventurers. Italy was a religious destination in the age of Martin Luther, but after 1559, with the Treaty of Cateau-Cambrésis, journeys to Italy were not made anymore only for religious purposes, and people started traveling also for education and knowledge. Rome, Milan, Venice, Florence and Bologna were the main destination for many adventurers, driven by religious, aesthetic, personal, cultural and hedonistic reasons. On one hand, they were induced by a desire for knowledge, and on the other by a wish to enjoy themselves and escape from the reality of their country. The expression Grand Tour appeared for the first time in 1670 in the Voyage of Italy, a guidebook written by Richard Lascelles, and soon became a universal expression. The term tour goes behind the meaning of travel or journey or voyage, and clarifies the essence of this experience. It was a particularly long and wide-ranging journey that started and ended in the same place, Italy, a land with its artistic heritage of Roman and Greek monuments, its landscapes, its folklore, the warm welcome from its citizens, and its bright and warm climate so different from the gloomy weather in their home country was like a dream for them. The young sons traveled to Italy to learn about its traditions, customs, language, constitution, political system and art, and for sightseeing and shopping. For Goethe, the author of Italian Journey, traveling meant escaping from his country. As he revealed in his book, his stay in Italy marked a veritable rebirth to find his intellectual perfection. Italian Journey is a detailed account of his journey in Italy. In reality, the author does not describe just the country, but expresses also the impressions drawn from it and the local people, along with its sensations and emotions. Undoubtedly, the Grand Tour had always concerned the world of art and literature, but from the 1960s, it became a main theme and symbol of wealth and freedom also in the world of cinema. Many films were inspired by the Grand Tour, and Italy played the leading role in several of them. And some of these movies deserve indeed to be mentioned, like A Room with a View by James Avery, based on Forster's novel. It talks about Miss Lucy Honeychurch, a young girl from an English village in Surrey, on holiday in Florence. The author contrasts the differences between Italy and England by idealizing the first one as a place of freedom, a land that persuaded many English people to flee their country and its social conventions and restrictions. In the portrait of a lady, directed in 1996 by Jane Campion, as in the Avery's movie, we see a young girl traveling to Florence and choosing Italy as the right place to safeguard her freedoms and explore the world. These films have widely contributed to develop the passion for Italy as a cultural destination, whose origins go back to the Grand Tour, the real archetype. Around the mid-18th century, there occurred what has been called the internationalization of the Grand Tour. The journey began to shorten, an indication that people had less money to spend. Certainly, over the years, tourism has changed, but the only thing that has not altered is the way Italy welcomes foreigners. Maybe the way a traveler looks at Italy is different. In Goethe's time, travelers left their country and ventured into the unknown to discover scrupulously all the aspects of a new place. Today, tourists are inattentive, they don't care about details and tend to generalize. Although traveling was once a pastime for the wealthy, today it's affordable even for the less well-off classes. From a privilege for the elite, it has become a mass phenomenon, thanks to a general improvement in the standard of living. Nowadays, the mobility of people is greatly facilitated, and it was improved transport networks that led to the development of mass tourism some decades ago. Although people had less spare time, and also for this reason vacations nowadays are shorter. The cost of traveling has dropped to satisfy the needs and means of different kinds of travelers, who, however, as in the past, are driven by curiosity to visit Italy and its beauties. Today there is not such thing as a typical tourist as there was in the past, as people from all walks of life travel. The striking contrast between the aristocratic travelers in the past and the recent standardized holidays is really evident, and many experts have studied this phenomenon. After carrying out an in-depth study of the Grand Tour, I think that the authentic tourist is a thinking consumer, driven by curiosity and a thirst for knowledge and discovery. But nowadays, unfortunately, tourists have slightly changed their characteristics, also to the tourist industry, proposing mostly artificial experiences based on prepackaged holidays. For this reason, the contemporary journey has been criticized and accused to be superficial. Therefore, I can affirm that cultural tourism has survived until today, even if it has adapted itself to the new characteristics of contemporary travelers, so different from those of the past.